On Saturday when we did the workshop, there was a person on Zoom who was on a plane and tuned into the workshop from the plane. Like, that's a first for us. If everything else goes wrong with this workshop, we still accomplished something. Reached a person at 30,000 feet. All right. Well, let's get started. Thanks for being here. We got butts and seats. We love that. We're going to talk about heart today. We're going to go over some basics. This is not going to be the most in-depth medical school residency in the cardiac center kind of workshop. Okay? What I want to do is explain a lot of the terms that we hear about all the time when we go in for a standard medical visit, or the things we hear you're most likely to go on a prescription for the following things. I want you to understand what influences all that in an effort to empower all of you. I'm going to do a whole bunch of drawing. So let me know if questions come up as I'm drawing. So I want to make sure you understand this stuff. First things first, the heart has a primary job, and that is to pump blood through the body through a network of over 100,000 miles of piping. If you take every blood vessel in your body, every vein and artery, every capillary, every little spot where blood flows, and you put them end to end, you can wrap it around the earth 4 times. Each one of us has that inside of us right now. And the secondary job, your heart makes electricity. Don't know if you knew that, but this is an electricity generator. Yeah. Not enough to like start your car, but it makes electricity. Let's go over some terms all about heart health. The first term is cardiovascular. Cardiovascular means relating to the heart and the blood vessels. So it means the heart, which is not an anatomical representation of the heart, and the tubes that come off the heart. Again, this is not drawn to scale or anatomically correct. Think of it like an air pump, like you would fill up a bike tire with. The heart is the pump, and the vessels are the tube that you would then connect to the bike tire. Or in the human body, this is the pump, the blood vessels connected to the liver or to a kidney, to some other area of the body. An artery is any of the muscular walled tubes forming part of that circulation system by which blood is conveyed from the heart to all body parts. So, the blue tube is an artery. Has everybody heard that term before? Cool. And that is blood going away from the heart. The next term, believe it or not, is vein. It's any of the tubes forming part of the circulatory system that carry the oxygen depleted blood back to the heart so that it can pick up some oxygen and then get kicked back out by the arteries. This is an important thing to understand because all the tubing related to the cardiovascular system does not have the same job. So the veins and the arteries will have different nutritional needs because they have different jobs. And then blood pressure is the pressure the blood creates on the walls of the veins and arteries. It is influenced by the elasticity of the walls, the force of the heart and the rate of the heart, and the diameter or the size of the blood vessels. So our blood pressure, as our blood is flowing through here, it is pushing against the walls. When they take your blood pressure, the reason they wrap that cuff around your arm or your wrist and then it starts to squeeze is because that squeeze is measuring how much it pushes back against that squeeze. It's like a handshake. You ever have someone give you a dead fish handshake? That's low blood pressure. You ever have someone try to break your hand when they shook it? High blood pressure, okay? Should just be a nice middle ground kind of thing. So when we measure blood pressure, we're squeezing a blood vessel and then measuring how much does the blood vessel push back against our squeeze. That make sense? Cool. What influences this? These walls should be pretty elastic. You should think of them like rubber bands. They should be able to get squeezed and bounce right back. You should be able to put pressure on them, and they don't really mind because they're elastic. They'll just snap back into place. They all have a different width or diameter. That'll also influence blood pressure. The smaller the diameter, the more narrow it is, the more likely it is to be influenced by the pressure levels. So those tiniest little blood vessels in our body, especially the ones in our brain, are the ones that are most likely to have an issue if our blood pressure is not regulated. Does that make sense? I hear your wheels turning.
I don't have those problems. Blood pressure.
Okay, cool. The really broad ones, they can just take more blood pressure issues because there's a greater surface area to spread the problem out across. That's the basics of all things cardiovascular. The heart is a pump. Arteries send blood away from the heart. Veins are what bring it back. It's an important thing to know. When we're measuring blood pressure, the systolic number and the diastolic. It's measuring different things. Hey everybody, it's Drew from the future. I got to interject my own video here for a second. I totally misspoke during the workshop about the difference between systolic and diastolic pressure. Systolic pressure is the pressure of the blood against the walls of your blood vessels during a pump from your heart. When your heart squeezes and it moves the blood out through an artery, the systolic pressure is that blood's pressure against the walls during the pump. And the diastolic pressure is during the rest, when the heart isn't pumping. You've probably heard that your heart goes lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. So when there's the squeeze part, that's the systolic pressure. When the heart rests between those sounds, that's the diastolic pressure. Next thing I want to go over is cholesterol. First and foremost, the most important thing I ever teach anybody about cholesterol is that it is not a fat. Not a fat. It's a waxy substance. The body uses it to make hormones and to repair damage. We're going to talk about that a lot right now. Cholesterol is gained through animal-based foods. There is no plant food in the whole world that has cholesterol in it. If you want to eat cholesterol, it has to be an animal product. When the food lacks animal, the liver will actually make cholesterol. Cholesterol is so important for our body that our body will make it if we don't eat it. Now, we've probably heard LDL and HDL before, and we're going to talk about those a little bit. In the handout here, what I wrote down is that LDL, that first L stands for lousy. That's just the way that I remember that that's the number we want to be smaller on blood work. And then that the H stands for happy. Easy way to remember it then. Cholesterol is not the bad guy. Cholesterol is involved in the production of hormones in the body, but also I mentioned that it has to do with repair in the body. Because it's that waxy type of substance, it's kind of like putty or plumber's putty. If anything in your circulatory system springs a leak, if the walls here get deficient, get damaged for some reason, they don't have the nutrients to make sure that they're a nice tight weave that is waterproof so that blood doesn't leak out, the body will take cholesterol and slap it right on that opening. So it would look like this. You develop a hole in a vein or an artery, and the body goes, really don't want that. I don't want to internally bleed. Let's send some cholesterol over there. Patch that thing up. Does that make sense? Yeah, the body is aware, if it just starts to internally leak blood, that it will succumb, right? That the vessel will cease to exist.
Can you think of some things that would cause a vessel to leak?
Number one thing is vitamin C deficiency.
It's thin or...
Yep. Vitamin C is one of the most important nutrients to make sure that weave, all the walls of the blood vessels are a weave. Vitamin C keeps the weave nice and tight so that there's no gaps in it, there's no leaks then. I'm going to talk about Cataplex C today. It's a supplement that's very rich in all the components of vitamin C. And we just released a video on YouTube. It's January of 26 at the time of filming this, where I go over real vitamin C versus fake vitamin C. The fake vitamin C won't help repair this stuff, and the body will continue to produce cholesterol to patch up holes. Okay? Yes, scurvy is basically your blood is leaking out of the tubes. If it happens in the mouth, they call it gingivitis. Okay? Gingivitis is inflamed gums that typically have leaking blood with it. If you're prone to bruising, that's just the blood vessels in whatever area of the body are scurvy. Yeah, that makes sense? Yeah, good question. I want to talk about these two because they tell us a lot about what's going on in the body. The reason that LDL is considered lousy is it's the cholesterol that is sent out for repairs. That's why I patched up that hole with green. Okay? We don't want our LDL to be particularly high. I want it to be under 120. Real sweet spot is about 100 to 120 because then there's enough of it but not too much. Okay? The LDL is what is sent out for repairs. The HDL is what comes back. Okay? And I want it to be greater than 55. Here's why. Kelly, I'm going to ask you to help me demonstrate this. I'm going to hand you these 4 boxes. Okay? These represent the LDL. Each one is a unit of LDL. So my body is sending out 4 units of LDL. Thank you for taking it. Saying that we need 4 units for repairs. Okay? If none of them come back, then my body had to use all the cholesterol for repairs, indicating there's a lot of repair to be done. Compared to, I want 3 of them back. Go. I got back 3 of them. We sent out 4 units and I got 75% of it back. My body thought there were a lot of repairs. Turns out, not such a big deal. Okay? Thank you for helping me demonstrate that. So when I see this, I don't really get freaked out, even if the LDL is high. It's just telling me this body is trying to repair a lot of different things. Chances are a bunch of them are related to scurvy, a lack of whole food vitamin C, of real vitamin C. If the LDL is high and the HDL is also high, then I know that body is just sending out cholesterol consistently to make sure any repairs that need to be done are being done all the time. When a lot of that HDL comes back, I go, great. The body didn't have that many repairs. It just wanted all the work sites to have plenty of material to do the repairs. Is this making sense so far? It's clicking. There's another situation where we might see high LDL and low HDL, and that's at different hormonal shifts in life. I mentioned that cholesterol is involved in the manufacturing of hormones in the body. So during different periods in life, things like puberty or menopause or andropause, we'll see that the body sends out more cholesterol for the sake of making hormones. And then not a lot of it comes back because the cholesterol was used to make hormones. So when a menopausal woman comes in and she goes, oh my goodness, I started menopause 6 months ago and all of a sudden my cholesterol is high. Like, well, yeah, you entered menopause. Your body's shifting how it works with hormones. I've seen blood work as a young man who's a football player, 16, 17, and his cholesterol was like 280. I was like, well, yeah, you're in the midst of puberty and you're an athlete on top of it. He was on a hair analysis protocol, so we were doing all sorts of stuff in his body. Yeah, his cholesterol levels are going to go up, but I can point to the reason why they're going up. Does that make sense also? So it might be a hormonal shift in the body, or it might be just indicating how much repair is taking place.
So the LDL,
Yeah.
Being high,
Yeah.
higher maybe than even the 120,
Mhm.
Is that being produced by the body, or is it being something that they're consuming?
Both. Yeah. If they aren't eating enough, then the body will make it. If they're eating enough, the body will use what they're eating. Yeah.
How do you discern if it's being produced by the body because the body needs it versus just bad eating?
Bad eating.
Well, bad eating that causes LDLs to increase.
Yeah, so if you're using inflammatory foods, you're damaging the body, and the body's reaction to damage is going to be to send out LDL for repair. So the junk oils don't contain LDL. The junk oils damage us, and then our body uses LDL to repair the damage. Does that chain make more sense, that chain of events? Now you asked a different question first. The way that we would know, is the body making the cholesterol or is it coming from our food, is we'd have the person fill out a few days of a food log. And I would look at it, and I have met vegetarians with high cholesterol levels because the body will make cholesterol if you don't eat it. And they had high damage levels in their bodies. So they had high cholesterol levels because their body wanted to repair the damage. Them being vegetarian was almost a non-issue because their body had damage and wanted to fix it. So it made cholesterol. Compared to me, I'll eat 2 grass-fed burgers for dinner and I'm eating plenty of cholesterol. And then if there's damage in here, the body's like, thanks for the cholesterol. We're gonna go patch up some leaks. We're gonna go make some hormones. That answered? Awesome. Yeah.
So when do you know that it's a problem? Because like if you can tell that they need it right now, like that's good. And doctors are quick to put you on cholesterol medication then. So yeah, when is cholesterol a problem?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of, if someone comes in with elevated cholesterol, I'm going to rephrase that. If somebody comes in with elevated LDL and low HDL, not the total number, that's less of an issue for me. If there's a lot of repairs and not a lot coming back, because there were in fact a lot of repairing to do, I'm going to ask for blood work every 3 months. I want it pretty quick. Most doctors will say 6 months or once a year. I want to see it quicker because I'm going to start to apply the nutrients that are going to patch things up and that are going to support hormone production. And I expect in as little as 3 months that we'll see a shift in the cholesterol. Maybe not a total correction, but enough of a change that I go, we sorted it out. And lipid panels, which is how we measure cholesterol on blood work, are inexpensive. And it's really easy to ask your doc, like, hey doc, I want one of these every 3 months until it's sorted out. A doctor who says no to that is a doctor I wouldn't advise you to go see. That makes sense? Because it should be an easy, like, yep, that'll cost $21. Thanks. That's worth it to know that my body is repairing damaged tissue. That answer your question? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'd want to know the specifics of it. So if someone goes on a ketogenic diet and their cholesterol level goes up, I'd want to know the details. What's their LDL? What's their HDL? What was their cholesterol before they changed their eating plan? Because something that's really common to happen on a keto style diet, which is really low carb and really high fat and protein intake, is hormone production kicks in at a high again. So that elevated cholesterol might just be because the body goes, hey, we're going to make a bunch of hormones because we have the ingredients to make the hormones. That makes sense? Right. I'm probably still going to say let's check it again in 3 months because I want to make sure it's not the new norm. Just that it's like, oh, we got different nutrients, we did different things, and now we'll go back to a lower level of cholesterol. But I want to know their levels of LDL and HDL inside there. Yeah.
Also heard high LDL be like a indication of like a lot of low-grade infections. Is that a thing?
I would absolutely see that as a possibility. Elevated LDL indicating that there are multiple immune challenges in the body, because we know viruses and bacteria, fungus and parasites damage tissue, indicating that we would then have to repair that tissue. That totally makes sense to me. Yeah. I've seen clients on their hair analysis with toxic metal levels, and that has also correlated with their blood work having elevated LDL. And we know that certain toxic metals beat up the body. So the body would produce more LDL to repair the damaged tissue from the aluminum toxicity, the cadmium. The other thing when we're talking about all things cholesterol is triglycerides. And triglycerides are a measure of how well your body uses carbohydrates for energy. So I'm going to write down triglycerides down here. So it is carbs in versus use. So if we're eating too many carbohydrates, what the body will do is they will convert the carbohydrates to triglycerides because we didn't use them. Really ideal score for triglycerides is going to be 75 to 100 on blood work. Most blood work that I see, they say anything under 150. I actually don't want your triglycerides to be too low. That can be indicative that you aren't eating enough carbohydrates. And I know that's a shocking thing in our modern world because we're all supposed to be low carb. Not everybody's supposed to be low carb. So triglycerides have a sweet spot of 75 to 100. When you're in that range, it tells me that you're getting enough carbohydrates, not too much. That makes sense? One of the best things we can do to indicate that somebody's heart is going to be negatively influenced by cholesterol, their LDL will be high, their HDL will be low, their triglycerides will be high. Their body has a lot of damage, high HDL, high LDL, low HDL, and their body is not using carbs for energy the right way. There's a bunch of dysfunction in the body. That's what that tells me. We have to start changing all that. Quick note about lipid panels. When reviewing labs, it is important to consider the total cholesterol, the HDL, the LDL, the triglycerides, and the fasting glucose levels together. The fasting glucose levels are the other piece of understanding how the body is using carbohydrates with triglycerides. It's not either or, it's both. Questions on the first page? Everybody on Zoom good? Cool. A little thumbs up notification. I think it's cute. All right, omega-3s. We have an entire presentation on our YouTube channel dedicated to omega-3s if you want to really dork out. These are just the basics about omega-3s. These fatty acids support cell membranes, inflammatory responses in the body, and the use of certain vitamins and minerals. So all throughout our body, we have cells. Cells in a human are circular, and this outside part, it's not a wall, it's a membrane. If it was a plant we were talking about, it has a cell wall. But in this case, it's not a rigid thing, it's pretty flexible. There's in and out spots. Omega-3s are really important for the integrity of the membrane, the exterior surface of all of our cells. There are 3 types of omega-3s for us to discuss. The first one is ALA. You'll see that on packages of things like flax and chia. You might see it if you buy walnuts. And that is plant-based omega-3. It is really very good for you. My only caveat with that is most food sources of ALA come with a high level of omega-6, which is a different type of fat that's more inflammatory. So when it comes to things like almonds, pecans, walnuts, the plant-based omega-3 sources, since most of them come with a high level of omega-6, I suggest your intake of them be small, because I don't want you to crank up your inflammatory stuff, your pro-inflammatory stuff. The other 2 types of omega-3s are both plant-based. There's DHA, which is the soothing omega-3. The way I remember it is the D stands for down, come down, calm down maybe. It's really important during pregnancy. It's incredible for brain health, and it's anti-anxiety. Again, calm down with DHA. I'm going to dork out in just a minute. I want to explain EPA first. EPA, the E stands for exciting. They are especially good for heart health, and they're very much so anti-low mood. Okay? the different fish in the world, salmon versus mackerel versus trout versus calamari versus tuna, they all naturally have a different ratio of DHA versus EPA. So for all my people who have tried fish oil and felt nothing from it, or even felt worse on it, chances are the type of fish that was used to make your fish oil had the wrong ratio of the DHA to the EPA. Here we carry 8 different omega-3 products. They all have a slightly different ratio of the DHA to the EPA, so we can find the right ratio for the individual's body. That makes sense? Yeah. Questions on omega-3s?
What were the 3 nuts that you said?
Yeah, well, flax, it's a seed, but flax. Walnuts, almonds, and pecans. I was giving a presentation last month in Arkansas, and pecans came up, and I called them pecans, and the whole room went, "Thank you." Everybody else calls them pecans. Like, here's how you know you're in the South. There's a couple of words like pecans. You say them, and they're like, "Okay, this Yankee's okay." This Northerner checks out. All right, I want to talk about 2 things that are often overlooked when we're talking about heart health, and they influence these things we've been discussing so far. First one is liver health. The second one is adrenal health. Liver health, your liver, just so we're keeping this in mind. Right side of your body, protected by your rib cage. It wraps all the way around to the front of your rib cage, into the back. If we were to take my liver out of my body right now, if you can picture an NBA basketball that's just mostly deflated, it's that big. It's a pretty big organ. It's like that. Okay? And at any point in time, 25% to 35% of all the blood in our body is sitting in that organ. The liver has an artery that goes straight to it, and it has a vein that goes straight back to the heart. That's why there's so much blood in there, or why there can be so much blood in there, because there's a tube to and from. This means that if the liver is dysfunctional, 25 to 35% of your blood is more difficult for your heart to move. So I always want your liver to be free flowing. If you want to envision what a liver looks like on the inside, have you ever driven up to a bank and they have those fun tubes you could put your deposit in and it sucks it away? Imagine a bank drive-through that has 100,000 lanes and 100,000 tubes for things to go in and out. If your liver gets unhealthy, more and more of those lanes, more and more of those tubes go offline. And then the liver has to do more and more work in the remaining tubes that are functional. And that's really stressful on it if you get to a certain point. You can have about half of those tubes go pretty off the rails and still be okay. But a lot of people, their liver is so jacked up with what's happening in our modern world with pollution, water issues, food, all of that, that 2/3 to 3/4 of those tubes get congested or get gunked up. And that makes it much more difficult for the heart to push blood through it and get the blood to come back to it. That makes sense? So liver health is really important. I listed a bunch of my favorites here. There's Livaplex by Standard Process. This is a liver multivitamin. If you want to use another analogy for the liver, and it's a rechargeable battery, this puts the battery back on the charging station. Our beloved Spanish black radish. This is one of the most wonderful things for liver, and it's been clinically studied twice, and in both studies proven to increase liver efficiency. So it's not an opinion, it's a fact.
So how do you know which one of those is better for you than the other?
Really good question. Which one's better for the individual? I would like to muscle test that to determine. I'd have the person's body tell me. If I'm not muscle testing a person, that is a win-win. You take either one, they're both going to be really good for your liver. Yeah, it's a win-win. We get into some of the more fun ones for liver, like Milk Thistle Forte, Livco, and Helico. They're all from Standard Process. Those are some of the fancier ones. Those are ones I'm more likely to put somebody on if they come into me and they have big time cholesterol and triglyceride imbalances. I'm going to pull out the heavy hitters to really get the ship back on course. So that's the liver stuff. Does the congestion in the liver and how much blood goes to and comes back from make sense why the liver is a factor in heart health? Good. And then adrenal health. So we got 2 adrenals. There's one on top of each kidney. The word adrenal literally means add, on top of, and renal means kidney. So literally the gland that is on top of the kidney. The adrenal glands produce anti-inflammatory hormones. Many clients over the years have had elevated inflammatory markers, C-reactive protein, for example, while dealing with heart health issues like blood pressure, cholesterol, etc. Nourishing the adrenal glands is the most effective way of supporting a reduction of CRP that I have seen clinically. So the body is getting inflamed. The C-reactive protein on the blood work goes up, 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 indicating the body is inflamed. And when I'm muscle testing those people, when I'm looking at those people's hair analyses, I'm seeing they have the patterns and the tendencies for weak adrenal gland activity. Adrenal gland activity that is outside of the ideal range. And what that's doing is it's keeping the adrenals from sending the hormones that take the inflamed tissue and bring it back to the normal size. Those hormones aren't present, so then we're inflamed. The blood vessels are inflamed. The adrenals should be producing the hormones that go, oh, we got some inflammation, let's tamp that down real quick. The adrenals are tired or malnourished, they can't do that. I got some favorites for adrenals. Cataplex C is one of them. This is the supplement that the video 2 days ago that we released was all about. Drenamin is really good for the adrenals. Cardio Plus is really good for the adrenals also. And then there's a fancy one. It's a secret weapon. I know you love my secret weapons. Gotu Kola Complex. This is an herbal product. It's a blend of 3 different herbs. Really incredible for the circulatory system. But one of the herbs in here is an adaptogen. And an adaptogen means an herb that helps your body respond to stressors. Your adrenal glands are your stress response glands. So this is my secret weapon for people who come to me with adrenals that are pretty much cooked and high inflammation levels in the heart or elsewhere. I like to use Gotu Kola Complex for those people. Questions?
Fun fact, Drenamin's great for people with OCD.
Oh, okay. Drenamin being used with people with OCD. I could see that because it's quite soothing to the nervous system in addition to helping the adrenals. Right on. Other thoughts, other questions? Zoom, you can chime in too if you want to. I got my volume up.
I have a question about the nuts again.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we know if we're eating too much of this then? Like if I put nuts on my oatmeal every morning, is that too much?
Yeah, for most people, the ideal amount of nut and seed intake for a day is going to be under a quarter cup. So that's a ballpark amount, but keep it in mind. We need to reframe nuts and seeds as going back to they are a snack food, not something we build a meal around. In the modern world, a lot of people are like, oh, it's no problem. I got my protein from almond butter on my sandwich today. And I'm like, the amount of almond butter you would have to eat to get adequate protein inside of that meal would give you way too much of the omega-6, the pro-inflammatory omega. So I don't want that.
I grew up with the nuts on the table. We had to crack them.
Yeah.
You think how hard that is? Like you wouldn't eat as much nuts.
100%. I love that point. When peanuts are in the shell, when pistachios are in the shell, you don't eat nearly as many of them. Yeah, walnuts, you have to have the machine, that little tool for it, and yeah. It was always fun around Christmas time because we had nutcrackers in our house. Most of them were for show. But there was one I was allowed to touch. And that one was just fun. I didn't eat walnuts, but my Uncle Bob did, so I was the official, there you go, Uncle Bob, have your walnut. But same thing, even with a tool in place, you don't eat nearly as much compared to a nut butter, or if you just get a bag and they're already shelled for you, it's way easier to just throw down too many.
So then what should we be taking in place then if people's mindset is I need to get some protein going, then what should we go to for that instead of the nuts?
It's a great question. We got a whole workshop dedicated to that one. So I want to get you a link to that video. Yeah.
Collagen goes great in oatmeal because it mixes right in.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different protein powders, and collagen is one of them that mix really well into oatmeal, for example. So in the wintertime on a regular basis, something that I personally like to do, Standard Process sells oats that are grown in their farm in perfect soil. The nutritional breakdown of their oats, they are vastly superior to the next best oat. I'll make a bowl of those. I'll add 2 scoops of the Standard Process chocolate protein powder and 2 scoops of collagen to it. The secret is to make the oatmeal first. Add a little bit of extra hot water to it and then add the protein powders and stir them all in. Chocolate oatmeal is really easy to eat. It's really easy to eat. Yeah, it's like winter, it's probably 2 days a week I'm doing that at breakfast. It's really easy to eat. Gives me about 40 grams of protein, which is plenty for one meal. I'm happy. Sometimes I'll add a teaspoon or a tablespoon of butter to it, just to get a little extra fat. It also makes it taste extra delicious because buttery chocolate tastes good. Yeah. Answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and Zoomers, we're running out of time in 5 minutes, so you'll see it click off. It's not because I'm booting you out. Other questions, other thoughts? Thank you all for being here. These are always so much more, I'm going to say it, fun when there's butts in seats, so thank you for being here. Yeah? If you ever have questions, for all my people on YouTube who are watching, there is a reason we keep all of our contact info on screen during all the presentations we give here in our classroom at 3D Wellness. We want to hear from you. Whether it's a call or an email, whether you drop us a message on Instagram, whichever way you reach out to us, we want you to know we're here. We'll see you soon.